Hello, welcome to American Idiom, Part 7, Tasty Idioms. This is John Linneball of John Linneball Tutoring, and here is my contact information. Let's get started.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
Fruity idioms. Bad apples. One bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. This is actually true. Apples will release chemicals as they ripen and rot that increase the rate of ripening or rotting of other nearby apples. So one bad person in a group can cause real problems. Sour grapes. It's convincing yourself that something you can't have isn't very good anyway, from Aesop's fable of the fox who couldn't reach the grapes, so he said, oh, those grapes must have been sour anyway. Veggie idioms. She or he is a vegetable, a person is in a permanent coma or otherwise has no conscious brain function. Salad days. When you're just starting out, new wood is green on the inside. Salads are made of mostly green vegetables, thus salad days. Carrot and stick. Reward and punishment. Whoever made this up rewarded a mule or a donkey or something like that with a carrot and punished it by hitting with a stick. No, I don't think it's good to hit animals with sticks, but this was a long time ago and somehow that's how people did things. Grainy idioms. Separate the wheat from the chaff, removing the worthless parts of something and keeping the valuable parts. Corny describes a really old or unfunny joke or a cliched story. Oh God, that's such a corny joke. Seedy, worn out, unwholesome, sleazy. So here's an example. While the Imperial was a very classy, truly magnificent theater when it was built in the 1920s, by the 1970s it was a seedy cinema showing art films to an equally seedy audience. See also gone to seed, when something's worn out, kind of reaching the end of its useful life. Animal feed idioms. A needle in a haystack. Well, a needle would be very hard to find in a haystack. Pearls before swine. You're giving something valuable to someone who can't appreciate its value. Like this pig probably can't appreciate the strand of pearls in this funny image. And then there's the very funny comic strip, Pearls Before Swine. Hopefully you can see that. You can look it up using Google or whatever search engine you like. Graze. When animals eat grass, weeds, etc. that are growing in a field, they just kind of cut the top off of it and let the grass continue to grow, or whatever plants they're eating continue to grow. It can also be when a bullet or other projectile touches someone but doesn't really penetrate deeply. Here we see an unfortunate woman whose scalp was grazed by a bullet. That does not look good. More animal feed idioms. Forage is when an animal searches for food. It can also apply to humans. A scavenger is an animal that's a bottom feeder that eats other animals' scraps or waste, carrion, whatever it comes across. Pigs, goats, I believe this is a hyena, lobsters, etc. They eat things that are just wastes or things that are scraps that they find. Here's a beetle. Here's another kind of animal foraging. And scavengers can also be junk collectors, things like that, like somebody who's running some kind of recycling operation like we see here. Biblical references. Food plays a very large part in the Bible, probably because food is something that's important in life. And so there are certainly some food-related idioms in the Bible. One is a millstone around your neck. So here we have a quote, "But if you cause one of these little ones who trusted me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea." Then there's the faith of a mustard seed. All it takes to succeed is a tiny amount of faith. Hiding it under a... I'll try that again. Hide it under a bushel. Don't hide your faith. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And then one of the lines is, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. So by a bushel, they mean a bushel basket like this, where you can carry things around. And you can see here, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. You can see just how tiny mustard seeds are. So all it takes is a tiny amount of faith and a whole lot of hard work. More biblical food references. Loaves and fishes. Yes, I know the plural of fish is fish, but people often say fishes in this context. It's a miracle when Jesus was preaching, people shared loaves and fishes, even though there shouldn't have been enough to eat, miraculously there was. So here we see loaves and fishes, here we see it. Painting of the miracle of loaves and fishes. Then water into wine. It was the wedding at Cana. Jesus magically turned water into wine when they ran out of wine. There's an old Sam Kinison routine who talks about that. What do you want from me? What am I, the Jesus, the miracle caterer? So anyway, here we go. The last biblical reference, Last Supper, is the Passover Seder before Jesus was betrayed by Judas. It led to Jesus being arrested and crucified on Good Friday by the Romans, which of course led to his resurrection 3 days later. Baked idioms. Bake can mean being hot. If it's a very hot day, oh God, it's baking outside. It can also mean to be intoxicated or high, usually on marijuana/cannabis. Probably not on the SAT or the ACT, but it is worth knowing. And there's a sketch from Mad TV called Clops. It's a law enforcement of claymation, so it's a very funny Pillsbury Doughboy sketch. Baker's dozen, 13. Donut bakers often give customers an extra donut or a roll or a bagel when they pay for a dozen. That's called a baker's dozen. Something that's baked on is something that's hard to remove because it dried on from being in the sun or some other kind of heat. Baked in is something that's inherent or built into something. A piece of cake, very easy. The quiz was a piece of cake. Have your cake and eat it too. This one confused me when I was a child. Isn't having cake the same as eating it? But that's not what they meant. The saying means, having the uneaten cake where it's sitting there and then eating it. Obviously, once you've eaten it, you've destroyed it. So it means once you've destroyed, you've used an item in such a way that uses it up or destroys it, it's gone. In a broader sense, trying to have your cake and eat it too means trying to have it both ways when you can't. It's two mutually exclusive choices. You're trying to have both. So here are some more baked good idioms. Crummy means poor quality. I'm staying in a crummy hotel over Washington Square. There's diamonds and rust. You can either take the original by Joan Baez or cover by Judas Priest. Pie idiom. Easy as pie, also very easy. Although he thought it would be hard, he found assembling the chair was easy as pie. Getting a piece of the pie is getting your share. A pie chart is a circular graph where the angle and sector measures are used to represent fractions of the whole. So here we can see energy sources, perhaps in the US or the world, I don't know. Petroleum, coal, natural gas. So you can see the central angle, here, and the sector size represents the percentage. So let's go back to this. A little split away from the main point. Here's a common technique used by parents when they're having to split a pie, cake, dessert, whatever. You let the first child cut it in half and let the second have the first choice. That ensures that the cake, pie, whatever this thing is here, will be split very evenly. So we can see the judgment of King Solomon. Two women were arguing over which one of them was the true mother of a baby. They went to King Solomon, who decided to have the baby split in half. One of the women then said the other woman could have the baby since obviously splitting the baby would kill it. King Solomon then awarded custody of the baby to the woman who was willing to give up the baby since obviously she cared more about the baby than the other woman. So that's basically where this whole, I'll let the first kid cut the cake and I'll let the other kid be the one who chooses the first piece. That way it's going to be split as evenly as possible since the kid who's cutting it knows if I cut one piece way bigger, that's what my brother, sister, whatever is going to pick. And then I will only be cheating myself if I try to cheat this person by cutting one piece much larger than the other. Meaty idioms. Cold turkey. Not cold turkey. Cold turkey. To quit a habit, cold turkey is to stop taking drugs, drinking, doing whatever the habit is abruptly instead of tapering off. The idiom comes from addicts' skin having goosebumps and looking like cold turkey skin when they are in withdrawal. One man's meat is another man's poison. So you can see one man's trash is another man's treasure. Something that helps one person may harm another person. So here we see sin, one is a blessing to another, no more than we count it as a solecism to say that one man's meat is another man's poison. So, okay. And as you can clearly see in slide 397, PowerPoint poisoning. So hopefully I'm not giving you PowerPoint poisoning here. All hat and no cattle. The caption here says, all hat and no cattle, but my God, what a hat. So there's a hat. So all hat and no cattle, not all cat and no hattle, is that you look like you're really important, but you're not. You don't actually have any real authority. You don't really have anything that you're pretending that you have. Egg and dairy idioms. Don't count your eggs until they're hatched. Don't assume that something good is going to happen just because you want it to happen. The best case scenario is not necessarily what will happen. So that goes back to, I think, Aesop's fables, where this girl is carrying a bunch of eggs and saying, oh, these eggs will hatch and I'll have all these chickens, and then I'll raise the chickens and sell the chickens for meat and use other chickens to lay eggs and da-da-da, and I'm going to have all this money and buy all these wonderful things. Then, of course, she drops the basket of eggs and they all crack, so her whole fantasy is interrupted by reality. Don't cry over spilled milk. If you can't do anything about something, worrying or crying won't help you. So, as in this song here. All right, so crying won't help you, praying won't do you no good, to quote Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks. I think that's actually a cover of Willie Dixon or somebody else, but anyway. Then, of course, something that's cheesy is something that's poor quality, unfashionable, uncool, a cheap imitation of something fashionable. That's informal, probably won't be on the SAT or the ACT. I wouldn't suggest using it in an essay for the SAT and ACT, as it's a bit informal. But you should know it. If someone's describing something as cheesy, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's actually covered in cheese or has some kind of quality that's like cheese. It just means it's something that's shoddy, poor quality, something that isn't very good. Usually it's an imitation, like imitation leather that's made of plastic, or imitation, natural fibers like wool or cotton or linen that's made out of polyester. Would you like to help me make more videos without spending your money? Well, then please like my videos and subscribe to this channel. Neither action costs you anything, and it takes you literally a few seconds. You'll also be alerted about my new videos, and you can also click on the little notification bell. It lets you know when I release new videos. Why do I care? Well, it's simple. YouTube doesn't let me share ad revenue unless I have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours. That's 240,000 minutes of view time in a year. If you see an ad on any of my videos, please know I'm not getting any money from that ad. While many people are watching these videos, at this time I don't have 4,000 hours of watch time. I also don't have anywhere near 1,000 subscribers, although I am very grateful for the people who have subscribed. And for the same reasons, you are not only welcome, but encouraged to share links to this video, put it in playlists, etc. I'm always happy to read and respond to constructive criticism or suggestions for new videos, and I reserve the right to delete comments from and block those who specialize in destructive criticism, the people we call trolls, or things that are off topic, spammers, disturb people who take their politics, etc. way too seriously and insist on sticking them into forums or fora where they do not belong, such as the comment section on videos like mine that don't relate to whatever they're talking about. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.